This is a battle which is brewing now, not just in the national capital in the NCR region, but across the country. We've had dog lovers, activists, celebrities, regular people who have come out and questioned this particular order coming from the Supreme Court. For them, the good news is that the Chief Justice of India has taken cognizance and will look into the matter. I want to take all these questions to our panelists this evening. Joining me in just a short while will be Vijay Goel. He's a BJP leader. He's actually the biggest proponent of the Supreme Court order. He's taken out a yatra all across Delhi, which practically lauds the Supreme Court order, suggests that it should actually be implemented across the country. Larger questions, of course, on infrastructure. Do we really have the kind of infrastructure to support an order such as that? Still remain unanswered. We're going to take those questions from him. Gauri Mulekhi, animal welfare strategist, is with me. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, chairman, Nephron Clinics. Dr. Ashar Jesudos, executive member, Delhi Animal Welfare Board. Rahul Ishwar, philosophy author and Hindu activists. I'd like to, before all of that, I want to cut across to Gauri Mulekhi, animal welfare strategist. Gauri, all right, we don't have Gauri with us. We're going to cut across to her in just a short while from now. But Dr. Rashad, if you'd want to come in. Well, the Chief Justice of India has said that he's going to look into the matter, which clearly has the society divided. Lots of questions, Dr. Rashad. We spoke with you, yesterday as well, to take the conversation further. Ultimately, there is a crisis that Delhi is facing if you're going to look at sheer number of dog bites where the dog menace is concerned. The MCD has clearly, somewhere down the line, performed terribly. It could be corruption, it could be multiple reasons, but the sheer fact it hasn't done its job lands us in a position that we are in. But, Dr. Rashad, the larger question is, why should people suffer collateral in midst of dog right activists and what the Supreme Court said?
Right. So I think we should begin by understanding, I think, that everyone on this panel wants a solution, right? And so do we. And it's just a question of how you get these solutions, what's the science behind it, what are the laws behind it, and what is the morality behind everything that you do. And I believe that Indians are a compassionate people at the core, right? And I think that belief is something I will hold dear to me all my life. And based on that, we need to understand that there are a set of rules in place which have been upheld by the Supreme Court of India previously. They're called the Animal Birth Control Rules 2023. All had. It's just that no one's taken the time to open the rules and read what's written inside, right? Coming back to your next question, who's to be accountable to this? The Municipal Corporation of Delhi should be held single-handedly responsible because they run 20 animal birth control centers. As you could see, one of your reporters was at a center and they saw what miserable conditions the dogs are kept in over there. They claim to have sterilized 7 lakh dogs in the last 7 years, whereas my estimate is that there aren't 7 lakh dogs in all of Delhi. And if there are, then all of them should be sterilized, according to the MCD data, which means that they've taken all this money that you said that was spent in sterilization and not in setting up centers, and we don't know what they've used for. The animal birth control rules mandates CCTV cameras in every operation theater. It mandates a monitoring committee to be established at the local level and at the state level. In most places across India where these people are demanding a solution, these monitoring committees haven't been formed, and numbers are highly inflated. They're taking the money. They're not sterilizing the dogs. In fact, they're not following the ABC rules at all. The ABC rules also say that they need to run education drives whenever they pick up dogs to tell people what the rules are. Like the Kuda vehicle that comes to our locality, it says Gila Kuda yahan, Sukha Kuda yahan. That's educating people about what waste segregation is all about. The municipal corporation doesn't do that. It doesn't tell people how to solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem. They just take all the money and they don't do any work. And that is where the problem lies. And that the government, the BJP is, we're really hopeful in this government, even now, that they will understand the source of the problem and deal with it where they should. So hold the municipal corporation responsible and not take out all the angst on, a vulnerable section of our society, which is the dogs.
All right, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, you've been very, very vocal, especially where the rising cases of dog bites are concerned. And at least if you look at prima facie, the figures, Delhi has the highest numbers of dog bites across the country. So clearly we failed somewhere. But then when you look at this particular order, which is coming from the Supreme Court, is that the solution? Because we clearly also lack the infrastructure to support where each and every dog, as per the last census, which was in 2018, it seems we are standing at a population of 10 lakh dogs, and we only have functioning 20 sterilization centers. So there is a huge abyss where infrastructure is concerned.
Good evening. The first and most important thing is to make a distinction between pet dogs and stray dogs. The stray dogs are a risk to life. They are endangering life, endangering children's health and the elderlies. At no point of time, my view is that we should have any cruelty or any inhuman behavior towards any animal. But we can't convert our city, our residential colonies, our homes right outside our gates into a Masai Mara or a Serengeti. That is unacceptable. Stray dogs bites, and we know the statistics. There are more than 37 lakh bites in India every year of dog bites. And mind you, most of these cases go to private clinics, general practitioners, where the cases are not being documented, recorded, and the census is therefore underreported. Point number two, obviously the civic authorities haven't done their job in the last 10 years. There should have been an infrastructure capacity building. That's not happened. That needs to happen. But if you have stray dogs on the streets, you're going to have bites. We know the rabies cases, and everyone is saying the rabies cases are just 54 this year of it. The word just is wrong. Every human life counts. The issue here is it's not only about rabies, it's about the lacerating injuries, nerve injuries, orthopedic injuries, severe reconstructive surgeries which are required for small children and elderlies, fracture neck femurs, head injuries which elderlies face. Dogs in the streets, for a variety of reasons, attack human beings. You can't have a stray dog which is aggressive in the same micro environment as residential homes. That's the distinction point. We need to be
Dr.
more
Bagai,
compassionate.
Fair point. We need to be more
in.
compassionate, but how do we do that in letter? Because technically, with what you're suggesting right now, that this is a death sentence for the stray dogs, at least in the Delhi NCR region. We understand that because we don't have the infrastructure. We tried doing this without a Supreme Court order, which was, during the Commonwealth Games, and we saw what really happened. So are we okay accepting that we are signing off on a death warrant for lakhs of dogs at the cost of what needs to be done, for the citizens of the country, of Delhi, who are facing what they are facing thanks to the laxity of the MCD?
Just a quick point I want to add. In fact, just two quick points with your permission. Yes, the time constraint of 2 months may be too short, but let us start the process. The only way to move forward is to take a first step forward. There is absolute possibility of creating these shelters and looking after the dogs, sterilizing them and vaccinating them, and over a period of years, the stray dog population will go down. The second point is, I want people to appreciate the pain, the torture, the harrowing experience of small children undergoing reconstructive surgeries or indeed working in a rabies ward. There is nothing which is more disastrous, painful, and emotionally and psychologically challenging than to look after these patients. I want people to understand the pain the families go through. It's not only a human being life lost, a family gets destroyed.
No, fair point. But we're once again, and I'd bring in, I'd bring in our other guest, Gauri Mulekhi as well. But viewers, we're once again then, Dr. Bagai, for the sake of an argument, because entrusting the same agency that has failed till now, abysmally so, to carry out a program which is mandated by the top court. And we are hoping that they'll succeed this time, which looks implausible. I want to bring in Gauri Mulekhi, because Ms. Mulekhi, there's a larger question here. You know, we can sit here ad nauseum, debate about animal rights, animal welfare, that this is a death warrant, but ultimately try explaining that to somebody in a Narela, in an Angloi, who's taking their little child to the school in the morning, gets attacked every morning by a pack of dogs, or somebody on their morning walk, or a delivery agent who faces this trauma day after day.
Correct. We have to change the way we are perceiving the problem at this time. We have approached this problem as if it were a civic problem to be dealt with by municipalities for the past 25 years. 2.5 decades we've given to local authorities like MCD, other municipalities and panchayats across the country. They have failed miserably for lack of consistency, for lack of compliance with the central government rules. Sometimes it's the budget which is short, sometimes it's the monitoring which is not there. Sometimes there is so much corruption that while the program goes on paper, nothing happens on the ground. That's something that a combination of all three we saw in Delhi happening for the past 2.5 decades. But we need to look at it as a public health problem and a veterinary health problem, not even animal welfare. So let us look at it only from the scientific point of view. Now, if we, for instance, if we have a magic wand and we remove all dogs, all 10 lakh dogs, given it was possible even from Delhi, would that then mean that Delhi is sanitized and there's not a single dog going to come in from anywhere else into Delhi? No. In the next 3 months, we would have more unsterilized dogs from neighboring areas coming into Delhi, fighting for territory, and we'd be back to square one in less than a year. Because this is something, this is not a simplistic way of resolving things. World Health Organization has spelt out how cities such as Delhi with urban solid waste problem can resolve the scavenging animal issue, and that is through the Animal Birth Control Program. The National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, which is our own Government of India's body, has concurred with that, has come up with a national action plan on rabies eradication along the same lines. In fact, this very year, the Director General of Health Services has indicated that the data of dog bites that's coming out is faulty. It is not correct because it's not collected at source in a segregated manner, whether the dog bite is of a pet dog or a stray dog. A lot of people who are rearing and keeping pit bulls and Alsatians and Rottweilers and you name it, all kinds of fancy breeds, which are also regulated by the Government of India, but not implemented by the states under the dog breeding and marketing rules of 2017. So these dogs also contribute to a very large number of bites, which the medical authorities now have the mandate to record in a particular format given by the DGHS. That format will start giving us the correct data probably from next year onwards. Because this year, up to this year, all the data that we've got is a cumulative of all the post-exposure rabies vaccines that have been disbursed to people. And sometimes every single vaccine that is given is recorded as a single dog bite. So for one dog bite, the 5 doses required, 5 repetitive dog bites are recorded, and that has been something that the states pointed out, which the center acknowledged, and now corrective measures have been taken. So we need to have the data right to get the solution right.
All right. Okay. Rahul Ishwar, the fact is there is a problem. Nobody's denying it. Especially where Delhi is concerned, the numbers say it very clearly. But is this the solution? Because clearly, after speaking to multiple people who've been working in this sector, this is definitely not the solution. We've got to work towards something which doesn't cost our infrastructure the way this will, number one. Number two, where it's implausible, because an MCD that has failed till now, you're entrusting the same body to carry out, something which they're going to fail at. It's impossible in 2 months to create shelters, which Delhi will end up spending more on dogs than it does spend on health for public.
Ma'am, everyone understands that there is a problem. In 2023, it was reported somewhere around 3 million dog bite cases and nearly 286 deaths from dog bite, as reported by our mainstream media. In 2024, more than 5 lakh victims of these dog bites were children under the age of 15. So yes, there is a very serious problem. See, I don't hate dogs, neither am I a dog lover. My humble submission is that we should give priority and precedence to human life, and that is non-negotiable. Yes, I understand and respect the outrage from our movie industry, people like John Abraham, people like, across civil society, many dog lovers, we respect that sentiments, because we in Indian culture has always respected various animals as part of godly nature too. But having said that, the human life cannot be compromised. So it's up to, to bring out a solution. The animal lovers, the caregivers, the food givers, they need to come together, find out a solution in accordance. Especially today's Honorable Supreme Court Chief Justice has taken a position that he will look into it again. Perhaps he will reconsider it. So they need to find a solution. But having said that, the ordinary people out on the road is getting very impatient. Let us not close our eyes towards that kind of an impatience that's happening. For example, my home state, Kerala, 2 children were killed by this dog bites. When we meet their family, it's a scar that even stays in our mind for an entire lifetime. So it's a very serious issue that a solution needs to be done. And let me have no shyness in saying the precedence and the preference go to a human life rather than a dog's life. With no disrespect to any animal's life. That human life is sacrosanct. We need to take care of that. And in the order of things and in the scheme of things, we have more priority. And some kind of a fast solution should be taken care. Otherwise, people are already getting impatient. There were many killings regarding dogs by ordinary people reported across India. So please bring out a solution. Please help us get rid of this menace. And that's a very serious.
So one needs to work towards the solution. I don't think anybody is denying that, but this is definitely not the solution. Are we willing to sacrifice lakhs of dogs because the inability of one agency to do their job? That's the basic question. I want to quickly move on to I think we're getting some news break coming in, and we'll go back to our panelists on the same. Well, you have now Menaka Gandhi, who's appealed to the Chief Justice of India, urging the CJI Gawai to hear all sides, suggesting hope CJI makes a call in view of law. Appeal after CJI said will look into the matter. All of this coming in at the wake of Menaka Gandhi, animal rights activist. She's a former BJP MP. She lost her election though, so we're going to correct that. But the latest coming in is that after the Chief Justice of India has come in to say that he will look into the matter, you have Menaka Gandhi now appealing to CJI Gawai to hear all sides, that she hopes that the Chief Justice of India makes a call in view of law. Listen in.
ये तो बहुत ही हम लोग होपफुल हैं, क्योंकि ये वाला ऑर्डर तो इतना खराब और इसमें पिछले 2 दिन से इतना बवाल मचा है। औरतों को मारा गया, पुलिस वाले निकल रहे हैं, वायलेंस तमाशा हो रहा है, डेमोन्स्ट्रेशंस हो रहे हैं। क्या फ़ायदा? क्योंकि वो ऑर्डर इतना रबिश था कि वो सब लोग जानते कि हो नहीं सकता। तो अब अगर चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया ने इसको फिर से देखना है, तो हमारी उनसे हार्दिक इच्छा है कि वो सब तरफों को सुन करके जो सेटल लॉ है उसको देख करके तब वो ठीक करें।
All right, I want to cut across to Dr. Rasher. Dr. Rasher, because we are looking at solutions, the only solution is sterilization. So we are looking at a long window. There is no quick fix solution to what we are actually facing right now, which many would think is an epidemic kind of proportion where dog bites are concerned. Once again, going purely by the figures that exist.
Right. Sterilization is absolutely the solution, but I think Ms. Gauri Moleki wanted to say something, so maybe we let her speak first and I can come in after that.
All right. Gauri Moleki wanted to come in? Go ahead.
I'll answer that very question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, the rules that the central government has promulgated in 2023 also provide for short-term respite, but only if it is followed. Rule 16 of the Animal Birth Control Rules 2023 says that if there is any dog that has bitten any person, if such a person has actually been bitten, not just because somebody is scared of such and such dog, looking at it or barking at it, but if there is a biting dog, it can be picked up, isolated, identified, picked up, kept in the Animal Birth Control Center in an isolation quarantine ward, and then monitored for presence of rabies or not. And there's a whole process given in it. However, the 20 shabby little ABC centers that MCD runs in Delhi rarely have isolation centers. They need to be brought under the regime of project recognition throughout the city. They've still not done it. We are in High Court against MCD in contempt for not following the central government rules. For the longest time, the previous government refused to follow any rule made by the center. Now we are hoping that sense will prevail and the new government will follow the central government rules and make the ABC centers more robust. For short-term respite for feeders also, Rule 20 prescribes that feeding points, if there's conflict, one person doesn't want dogs to be fed here or there, there is a committee that can be made under the chairmanship of the district animal husbandry officer, who will have a police wala and the RWA person and the feeder, and they will make a consensus feeding point in the neighborhood, which is acceptable to all. But for that, some amount of effort has to be put in. How is it that UP and Uttarakhand have put in a lot of effort? Because they started early. They are giving results now. Delhi started 25 years ago, spent hundreds of crores, and still it's only basically filled up pockets of MCD officers, and the Delhi population is still at large with all their problems.
Okay.
I just want to make one short point more, Preeti. While we are all very worried about public health risks because of presence of street dogs, let me put it on record that public health will be massively compromised if we make ghettos or concentration of camps of dogs around the city. These will be such biological, focal points of all pathogenic activity. For kilometers around these places, people will not be able to live. These will be just such complete biohazards that Delhi does not need it. That's how the Black Death actually started.
Okay, but Dr. Bagai, we've spoken about this a couple of days ago. Dogs essential to the scavenging cycle where Delhi is concerned. But final comments, Dr. Bagai. I'm going to cut across to all of you. Dr. Bagai, please go first.
So a failure of a system as far as the civic bodies are concerned for the last 25 years is not defining what we need to do further. We need more number of dog shelters. We need better care of the dogs, but we also need to investigate where has all this money gone over the past many decades. But to have, again, my basic point is, if you have stray dogs outside your homes, at some point of time, many people are going to get bitten. My limited point is, for me, that is unacceptable.
All right, let's quickly cut across. Dr. Rashar, final comments, sir.
Yes, I just wanted to add a little bit, following the entire biohazard, the human health hazard that this decision is going to create. You must have heard of the term herd immunity, right? I mean, we all heard about it during COVID, and there was a reason why mass vaccination was carried out, because when about 30% of the population is vaccinated, it greatly increases the protection from that virus from spreading, right? Similarly, right now with the animal birth control program in place, a majority of the dogs, I mean, all the dogs that have been picked up and sterilized and put back are vaccinated. So we need to understand that rabies does not originate from the dogs. The dogs themselves are victims of rabies. They've been bitten by either a rat or a wild animal, maybe another dog that's come from outside. And these animals will keep coming in. These dogs are vaccinated and therefore they kind of protect us. The unvaccinated ones are the ones that fall victim to rabies and go on and to bite humans. That's a very important point to understand, because if we start picking up all these sterilized dogs and vaccinated dogs and putting them in shelters, the new dogs that Gauriji talked about that are going to come in are going to be unvaccinated, unsterilized, and the chances of rabies propagating is going to be more. These dogs are also going to have fights amongst themselves. They're going to set up a pecking order, and when they fight amongst themselves, humans are going to get bitten. It's common sense. People need to think long term. This is like some random order where you just decided, okay, let's build this ashiana. It's not an ashiana. It's going to be an absolute ghetto, like Gauriji said. And it's shameful that the Supreme Court of India has come up with an order like this.
All right, final comments. We have Rahul Ishwar. Final comments, sir. Then we're going to go into a quick break.
I would humbly urge, we should all be very mindful and respectful when we deal with a Supreme Court verdict or a Supreme Court order. They are the highest court of our land, and we should be very sensible to respect their verdict. We may agree or we may disagree with those particular verdicts. Supreme Court has taken a drastic step because of the gravity of the issue on ground, and human beings' priority cannot be compromised, and that is a sense that we should all have, because tomorrow if something bad happens, people can really take, and that has really happened too, because at the end of the day, a human life is more important than dog's life, and there are no two ways about it.
You know, I'm going to just leave it at that. We're going to let our viewers decide. The debate continues both in court and outside.